Welcome to Learn English podcast. The biggest English mistakes learners make. Learn English through stories. Hello everyone. Whether you're just starting to learn English or you're looking to improve your speaking skills, you've come to the right place. Before we start this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel to get daily videos, and I don't want you to miss any of our lessons, translating, word for word from your native language. One of the most common mistakes learners make is trying to speak English by translating every word from their native language. This slows you down and often leads to incorrect grammar, awkward sentences, and confusion. Why? Because every language has its own structure, rhythm, and ways of expressing ideas. A sentence that makes perfect sense in your language might sound strange or even meaningless in English. For example, a Vietnamese speaker might say, "I very like this because in Vietnamese that sentence structure is normal," but in English it sounds unnatural. We say, "I really like this" when you translate directly. You might also struggle with prepositions, in on adverb tenses or even idioms. How to avoid this? Start training your brain to think in English. Begin with simple phrases you use every day. For example, instead of saying "the noi" in your head and translating to "I am hungry," just think "I'm hungry." Label items in your house in English. Practice forming short sentences about what you're doing. "I'm brushing my teeth." "I'm making coffee over time." This habit will reduce your dependence on translation and help you speak more fluently and naturally. Focusing too much on grammar before speaking. Many learners wait until they feel they've mastered grammar before trying to speak. While grammar is important, waiting for perfection often leads to hesitation, fear, and no real communication. You may understand complex grammar rules in theory, but without practice, you can't use them fluently in real-life situations. Grammar is like the rules of a game, but speaking is like actually playing the game. If you only study the rules without ever playing, you'll never get good at it. Worse, you may start overthinking every sentence, afraid to make a mistake. How to avoid this? Don't wait. Speak from day one, even with simple words and basic sentences. Make mistakes and learn from them. Use grammar as a tool to improve clarity, not as a barrier to communication. Start with simple patterns. "I like plus noun." "I want to plus." Verb and build up. Focus on communication first and polish grammar gradually. Learning too many new words without practice. It's exciting to learn new vocabulary, but many learners focus on quantity over quality. They memorize long word lists or use flashcards without really using the words in speaking or writing. As a result, they forget those words quickly, or they recognize them but can't use them in conversation. Knowing a word doesn't mean you can use it naturally. If you memorize exhausted but never say, "I was exhausted after work," you're unlikely to recall it in real life. Passive knowledge isn't enough. You need active recall. How to avoid this? Learn fewer words, but use them more when you learn a new word. Use it in at least 3 sentences that relate to your life. Speak those sentences out loud. Write them down and review them the next day. Try to use that word in your next conversation or record yourself using it in a short story. This helps move the word from short-term memory to long-term usable memory. Avoiding speaking out loud. Many learners practice silently, read in their minds, or just listen to English without actually speaking. This creates a false sense of progress. may understand English well, but still struggle to speak fluently, because your mouth, tongue and brain are not used to forming English sentences in real time. Speaking is a physical skill like playing the piano or riding a bicycle. You need to train your mouth to move smoothly in English. If you don't practice speaking aloud, you'll likely hesitate or mispronounce words when you finally speak with someone. How to avoid this? Make speaking part of your daily routine. Even if you don't have a speaking partner, read aloud for 5 to 10 minutes every day. Describe your actions as you do them. I'm washing the dishes. I'm walking to the store. Use voice recording apps to speak about your day and listen back. The more you speak, the more confident and fluent you become. Being afraid to make mistakes. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles to language learning. Many learners are afraid of making grammar errors, using the wrong word, or being laughed at. This fear causes silence, hesitation, and a lack of progress. But here's the truth. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. Mistakes are not failures, they're steps toward fluency. Avoiding mistakes often leads to perfectionism, which can be paralyzing. You might understand English well but say nothing because you're worried about saying something wrong. This mindset holds you back from valuable speaking practice and feedback. How to avoid this? Change your mindset. See mistakes as a natural and necessary part of learning. When a child learns to speak, they make hundreds of mistakes, but they keep going. You should too. Surround yourself with supportive people. Practice in low-pressure situations and celebrate every improvement. The more mistakes you make, the faster you improve if you learn from them. Not having a clear goal or learning plan. Many language learners start with enthusiasm, but without a clear direction. They watch random videos, read blog posts, or install every English app they can find. But after a few weeks they lose motivation because they don't know what to focus on next. This lack of a learning path makes progress feel slow, scattered, or invisible. Imagine trying to get in shape without a workout plan. You might lift weights one day, run the next, and try yoga another, but without a structure. You won't know if you're actually improving. The same is true for learning English. Without a clear goal and daily routine, your efforts may not connect or build on each other. How to avoid this? Start by asking yourself what your goal is. Do you want to speak English at work, travel easily, pass an exam, choose one clear focus, then break that goal into weekly or monthly steps? For example, this month I'll focus on listening to workplace English, or this week I'll learn 10 useful travel phrases and use them in practice. Create a basic routine, something you can repeat every day. It could be as simple as 15 minutes listening, 10 minutes speaking, 5 minutes reviewing new words. When you track your learning, you'll see progress and stay motivated. Only consuming content without active practice. Another common mistake is thinking that listening to podcasts, watching movies, or reading articles is enough to become fluent. While these activities are helpful, they are passive. Passive input helps with understanding, but not with using English in real time. If you only consume content, you become a good listener, but not necessarily a good speaker. Imagine someone watching hundreds of cooking videos, but never actually cooking. They might understand the steps, but they can't make the dish. The same is true with English. If you don't actively produce the language, you'll struggle when it's your turn to speak. How to avoid this? Always turn passive learning into active. Practice after watching a video. Pause and summarize what you heard out loud. After reading an article, talk about it in English, even to yourself. When you hear a useful phrase, repeat it 3 times and use it in your own sentence. For every 10 minutes of input, aim for at least 5 minutes of output. Use the shadowing technique. Listen to a native speaker and immediately repeat what they say, copying their tone and rhythm. This builds speaking skills, listening comprehension, and pronunciation at the same time. Be an active learner, not just a consumer, focusing too much on accents and perfection. It's easy to feel insecure if your accent doesn't sound like a native speaker's. Many learners try to erase their accent or feel ashamed when others hear. They are not perfect. This mindset is harmful and unnecessary. The truth is, you don't need a native-like accent to speak clearly or be respected, in fact. Many fluent English speakers from around the world have accents, and that's completely normal. Focusing too much on sounding perfect can make you avoid speaking, especially if you feel judged. You might waste hours trying to say one word correctly instead of learning how to express your ideas confidently and clearly. How to avoid this? Focus on clarity, not perfection. The goal is to be understood, not to sound like someone from America or Britain. Record yourself speaking and listen. Can you understand your own speech? Can others? If yes, your pronunciation is good enough for communication. Instead of trying to eliminate your accent, improve your intonation, word stress, and rhythm. These have a much greater impact on how natural you sound. Listening to and mimicking native speakers helps, but don't let your accent stop you from using your voice. Comparing yourself to others. One of the biggest mental blocks in learning English is constantly comparing yourself to others. You might see someone speaking fluently on YouTube or a classmate who seems to progress faster and feel discouraged. You think, why am I not that good yet? This leads to frustration, self-doubt, and sometimes giving up. But here's the truth. Every learner has a different background, learning environment, and schedule. Some may already speak other languages, or live in an English-speaking country, or have more time to study. Comparing yourself to them is like comparing a beginner runner to a marathon athlete. It's not fair to yourself. How to avoid this? Focus on your own progress. Ask, am I better than I was last week, last month? Celebrate small wins, understanding a movie scene, remembering a new phrase, or finishing a short conversation. Keep a learning journal and track how you improve day by day. If you need inspiration from others, use it to motivate, not to judge yourself. Everyone starts somewhere. Be proud of being on the journey. And remember, the only person you need to be better than is the version of you yesterday. Not reviewing what you've learned. Many learners keep learning new material every day without going back to review. This is a big mistake. If you don't review, you forget. You might spend an hour learning 20 words, but if you don't review them, over the next few days, you'll probably forget most of them. That means your effort is wasted and you don't build a strong foundation. Learning a language is not about learning something once. It's about repeating and using it until it becomes automatic. Think of your brain like a garden. If you don't water the seeds, they won't grow. Reviewing is how you water what you've planted. How? To avoid this, schedule time each week for review on Sundays. Go back and check everything you learned during the week. Read your notes, repeat key sentences, quiz yourself, or record a short speech using the week's new vocabulary. Use the spaced repetition method to review words after 1 day, 3 days, and 7 days. Apps like Anki or Quizlet can help, or you can make simple flashcards. Also, use the words you've learned in writing, speaking, or storytelling. The more you use it, the less you lose it. Thank you for joining me in today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming lessons. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next lesson.